Let's move on now, where West Premier Lazarus Mokgosi says the provincial government is collaborating with law enforcement officials to address corruption allegations. Now, the province has faced ongoing food issues and poor service delivery, along with the highest unemployment rate in the country. And after being under national administration for 4 years, Mokgosi aims to stabilize the province with the current administration. And SABC News reporter Thabang Morutloa had a sit-down with Premier Mokgosi to discuss a wide range of issues the province is facing.
Thank you very much for your time and welcome to SABC News Premier. Thank you for affording us the opportunity to be able to engage with you today.
Thank you very much.
We can start with our question. The first one will be, a few years we saw the provincial government being placed under administration. Since you came into office, are you happy with the progress that was made, or are there any improvements that you're working on after the changes that were made during the administration?
No, let me first thank you very much for affording the provincial government of the Northwest an opportunity to have this conversation. Yes, indeed, I can attest to the fact that the Section 100 intervention was a necessary intervention at that particular period. And therefore, today what we see, there is significant improvement. We received reports, what is called the closeout report. We have studied the report. We are even beginning now to see the fruition of that intervention. I can mention but one. You will realize that the audit opinions of different departments have improved. We have 3 clean audits, as you know. We also have departments that have moved from qualified to unqualified report. We got only 1 department with a qualified report, but also with reduced emphasis on their specific areas. And therefore, we believe that such intervention assists the provincial government to where we are today.
Still on that, Premier, one of the challenges that the province is facing is corruption. Now, about 45 cases were opened of corruption in the province. Are there any progress with the cases that were opened with law enforcement officials with regards to those corruption cases that were opened?
No, definitely. We are committed to build an ethical state. But not only ethical, but developmental in nature. And therefore, as a developing nation, we are going to have all these challenges, especially of people who are having proximity to government resources. And if you don't have a very serious monitoring tool, you will end up having all these challenges. But for now, what we are saying is, yes, I've interacted with all those institutions you referred to. I have reports. We are interacting on the consequences that relates to that. Others were updates in terms of how far are the police in terms of investigations. Others investigations are completed. They have been referred for prosecution. So it's work in progress. So far, so good. I'm very happy.
Another challenge the province is facing is that it has the highest unemployment rate in the country. So are there any plans being put in motion in terms of addressing this issue?
You know, I think the issue of unemployment is not an emergency. It has been coming. If you have been following the trend and the rate at which our economy is growing from 2016, the reports were showing that more than 50% of our population live below poverty line. And therefore, on the basis of that, we have seen shredding of jobs in the formal sector and even in the private sector. And therefore, on the basis of that, this has been a culmination. Northwest, when you put expanded unemployment, is at 54, if you round it off. And therefore, as the stage as government, we have a responsibility to mitigate. But of course, The economy must assist us because the economy of the country must grow. But we know that we are in a competitive world of the economy, and therefore the pace that the economy is growing, it's not sufficient to attract job opportunities at the pace that the society is developing. But at this point in time, as the Northwest, there are serious plans that we have in place. You'll recall that a month ago I made a commitment to advertise all vacant funded posts of government. For the first time, it has never happened. More than 250 posts were advertised at a go in different departments, unprecedented. And therefore, it shows how government is committed to drive and lead to reduce or mitigate unemployment. We are not over-ambitious that we will deal with unemployment in its entirety, but we believe that we will reduce it to a significant number.
On that, Premier, most of the youth, when you talk to them on the streets, they're discouraged about applying for positions in government. Some will say, I'm always applying, I have the relevant qualifications, but I'm never even have been called once for an interview. Some allege things like nepotism, which brings us back to this corruption issue within the province. And I want to make a follow-up. Since while you're saying that you are engaging the law enforcement agencies, are we going to see any arrests being made or consequence management being put into place with regards to this corruption?
Let's speak on corruption. We have received reports from the Public Service Commission. I've since written to departments specifically on issues raised by the Public Service Commissioner. And therefore, what I'm saying is that I'm expecting a department to start with consequence management, but there will be follow-up and monitoring to ensure that all these things are arriving at their logical conclusion. Secondly, you know, where human beings are, the human element will always be a factor. So what is important for us is to have proper standard operating procedures and have systems of control. And therefore, I believe that it's important that as people want to apply for jobs, they must not be discouraged. Look, I make a typical example. A post is level 5. How many people are unemployed who have a basic requirement of the post, which is matric and no experience? Obviously, we are going to have 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 applications. And out of that, you need only 5 people to come for an interview. And that says possibilities are you may not be called for an interview in 5 or 6 applications that you are making. But ask many people who will say to you, I applied 50, 60 times, but one day it happened. So you must never lose hope in life.
Thank you very much, Premier. Is there anything that I did not ask you, perhaps, that you would like to share with the residents of the province?
No, definitely. I'm saying the issue of water in the province. I mean, all of us know that water is a serious challenge internationally, even in South Africa. This coming week, you will know that there was what is called Africa Water Investment Conference in Egypt. If you follow it properly, it will tell you that there are serious challenges in the whole world in terms of water. We find ourselves as a country also facing that problem. We rely entirely on the underground water. And as this climate implementation becomes a challenge, global warming and so on, now we get our sources depleted. Now, as government, we are looking at a number of options, and a lot of them are in the medium, short term, and in the long term. Medium term, long term may mean serious infrastructure projects, which may also be presidential projects, or whether we go to Infrastructure South Africa to fund some of those projects. Or as we are doing all over, calling for investment on the water area. But we are also looking at our dams around which can be utilized. For instance, the Bloemhof Dam. Research shows that Bloemhof Dam can be utilized to provide water in Dr. RSM and Dr. Ngaka. So where we are, we also have what is called Medval, which is a state-owned entity, which is now possibly claimed to be private, but it's a state-owned entity. And this entity, for record purpose, has water reserves that can provide water for Dr. KK, for RSM, for Ngaka. We are in discussion because they are using only a quarter of water to the areas of Dr. KK. They are having water about 2/3 capacity which is not being utilized, and at the same time our people don't have water. So we are in serious discussion with that entity on how best can we utilize them so that our people must have water. The national minister is using the phase 3, phase 4 Spilanesberg to bring water to the areas of Ngakamuti Rimolema. There are 29 projects running, serious infrastructure projects for water throughout the whole province. So it's something that we are intervening, but some are medium and long term. But in the immediate, we are also mitigating by providing tankery, which also becomes another problem because there's an abuse and corruption of it. And what's important is to put monetary mechanism to ensure that we keep that practice. So the issue of water in this province is a serious matter. Water is life, and therefore we must ensure as government that it doesn't become a time bomb.